This is the birthplace here of Los Angeles. Cultures coming together, forming one, going forward from there. I'm really delighted to have these two folks carry on a conversation not just about Paula's book, but to begin the explore and uncover these issues of race, diversity, multiculturalism, and what it means as each of us uncover these types of journeys and share them. She and her brothers decided to fulfill a childhood promise to their mom and reconnect with familial roots, and we're going to talk about that journey today. Distinguished author Paula Madison, welcome. Paula. Her partner in this conversation, my new colleague, is Jose Antonio Vargas. He's a filmmaker, journalist, and a voice nationwide on the issues of diversity, immigration, and identity.
Once more, I was struck by the beauty of all the generations who surrounded me, the miracle of the continuity of our lives and our extraordinary family history. My mind wandered to an imaginary time, a time unaffected by politics, by history, by the tragedies of this vast country, by my family's tangled narrative. I think that's a spectacular line.
I always thought that I am a black person who has a Chinese grandfather. That is always how I always thought of myself. I'm going to take my glasses off for 2 seconds. You look to see, does she really look Asian? And then you'll pay attention to what I'm saying. I know it's a big distraction, so I like to get it out of the way first. Ready?
Great.
Here we go.
You definitely look Asian.
Okay, that's because you're Asian. All right, that's it. Now, if you saw me from 3 blocks away and I had on a t-shirt and jeans, which I frequently do, you'd say, oh, there's a black person. 2 blocks away, you might say, oh, that's a black woman. 1 block away, you might say, that's Paula. But it would only be if I engaged you or you engaged me in conversation and we got there that you could say, oh, and she's Chinese. So I think that that's why a lot of people don't. Because however it is in this country, I think for many of us, however we visibly present, it's just easier. Do you remember, do you recall that scene, the artwork, the photograph of when the railroad from the east meets the railroad from the west and the golden spike is driven? Remember that one? The iconic transcontinental railroad is completed. And the railroad was built overwhelmingly by Chinese. There's not one Chinese person captured in that scene, not one. And I just spent so much of my time being a kid and an adult angry at being overlooked and not, as a people, not credited.
Hearing a visibly black woman talk about Asian issues and Chinese issues with this kind of passion and breadth, has it been like jarring for people?
It's been kind of jarring, but what's really funny is I've kind of become like, temporarily a darling of the Chinese community. It's like, we need you to speak up more. And I'm like, hey, be more like black people. Stop being so cooperative.
Be more like black people.
Stop being so
Can
cooperative.
somebody tweet that out loud? Somebody tweet that right now.
Yeah, yeah. How often is anybody here going to be told to be more like black people?
Basically, you were an executive vice president at NBC, you had your career, and you decided that you're gonna go find your family.
My mother had a passport. My mother flew to this country. My father was a stowaway, but he too, after he had been deported and came back, he had a passport. I had cousins in Canada and London. I had cousins in Germany. So I lived in the United States. I never thought of myself as bounded by the United States. And so when I asked my brothers, how could we have, did you think that maybe we might be rejected if we, they were like, no. So I'm the 151st generation of the Lo clan, and our documented history goes back 3,000 years to 1006 BC. So it's Lo Siu, which is the generation name, and that means happiness or laughter. And I asked for my Chinese name. My given name, therefore, is Na, and Na means beauty. And the thing that moved me about that is that I could have been called, dedicated daughter, determined, proud. But I think especially for African American women who have grown up in Western society, but I'll limit it to the United States, we don't grow up believing that the general society thinks of us as beautiful. That's not how we were raised. And so for this Chinese man to name me Beauty was, I think, that's not what I expected. And I was so moved when he named me that. So when I was by myself, I cried.
What to you is the emerging American identity? If you were to describe what the emerging American identity is, what is it?
I would think that the emerging American identity has to be multiracial. I think it has to be. Even the more frequent use of the word multiracial, to me, it's like a new flavor. It's new. I can't tell you how much I hate the question, and I hate hearing the question, what are you? Love between races. That's what made me. That's why I'm here.